We're going to begin with your name and your location, meaning where do you live and where do you work, and then your title and your role, if you want to share that.
It's my great pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much. My name is Lili Fournier. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I spent most of my professional career working in the States, producing The Quest on PBS.
Perfect. And can you tell us about your work and the difference your work makes? And if it's possible, you can share with us a story.
My epic quest. Oh my God. I spent, I guess, 2 decades doing live television and working on Hollywood movies. And I had a passion to produce The Quest, which was to feature spirituality, the mind, body, spirit paradigm, which was Greek at the time. And I went around pitching this to all the Canadian American networks and was laughed out of every boardroom for several years, going, there goes the woo lady. And one day I decided I'm doing it. Whatever it takes, I'm doing it. And so took a couple of years to get the first show on the air, featured everyone, sort of an unprecedented gathering from Stephen Covey to Deepak Chopra, Bernie Siegel, Marianne Williamson. In any event, it was a hit. We started with 12 markets and expanded to some 90 million households. That took several years. And basically, it really played a leading role in igniting the human potential movement and bringing spirituality and the mind, body, spirit into modern day. I mean, now, could you look back and say that was not even possible, right? It's so mainstream. I'm not taking credit for it, but it was a very important thing for me to do, for us to live by our values and who we are and what do we stand for, sort of to redefine the meaning of success. And I think the quest for authenticity is the great quest of our times, as it turns out to be. So that was the beginning. And I saw in producing those shows the power of media to not only create personal change, but societal change. And I guess it was from that I went on to produce Women of Wisdom and Power, which was 3 hours plus 2 hours live out of New York. And the shows were used as, they were satellited out as fundraisers for supporting public television. And email wasn't even big in those days. And we had such a resounding response from women across the country that the shows lit a fire under them, and what a privilege it was to be of service. And that the women like Jane Goodall and Gloria Steinem that were in the show gave them the courage to go out and pursue their own dreams. And so that's where this light bulb went up in my head going, oh my God, it's the power of media to impact culture that is the key to saving the future and to usher in a new era for women and girls. And so that is what began what I'm calling my epic quest. And right before all of this happened, and by the way, it was in making that that I discovered that it was the severe subjugation of women in most parts of the world that kept poverty in place, which is war and all the other repercussions of what we're dealing with in the world today. And so I determined that educating and empowering women and girls was a solution. And I decided I would dedicate my life to doing that. So that was the beginning of the epic quest, which I will elaborate on for you.
Do you have a story that kind of comes to mind for you that kind of exemplifies a highlight or a keynote in your years of work? If you don't, it's fine. But if you
Oh my
do,
goodness, which one?
there's so many, right?
the defining moment of my life, and we all have one, when we know what we are being called to do, and it's a question of, do we have the courage to follow that dream? And so my impossible dream made possible is this pivotal moment in history. Kamala Harris is an absolute miracle. And we've been dreaming her into existence forever. So this is the most consequential moment in history, and we have to rise to it. And so this epic quest for me began on 9/11. I've always had exceptional psychic powers, or whatever you want to call it, but the knowing, when we know, we know. And so when I watched the towers falling, I saw this unbelievable prophetic and powerful vision that was given to me. It was a totalitarian playbook that I knew well, of us and them, conquer and divide, and the vision of the rollback of women's rights, the rise and threat of hate and divisiveness and global anti-Semitism, and the assault on freedom and democracy, everything that I care about, and that a man would come into power that would pose an existential threat to humanity. It terrified me. I went, oh my God, what can be done? And so I determined that the idea of peace and coexistence and security, all of these things that I worked for all my life, and the fight for justice, this was our moment, and that educating and empowering women and girls and advancing their role was the key to saving the future of freedom and democracy. And so I determined that I would produce Women's Day Live, which is Live Aid Women, and to create an annual global music event that we could harness the power of media and celebrity and technology to raise unprecedented levels of investment in women and girls, and clearly use that to change the cultural paradigms to see the transformative value of women and girls in society today. And so this is what started this epic quest. I went full time at it in 2010 because I felt this imminent danger was coming. It took a little longer than I expected. We came close to pulling this global event off for five times. And so I'll share with you what the mission is and the pivotal moment that is the defining moment for all of us right now, to step up to the plate with everything we've got, as if our life depends on it, because it does. And so that's what started this journey of 1,000,000 miles. And it's just a very exciting moment at this. It's a defining moment for the future of humanity. This is a battle for the future of democracy in America, and not just in America, but around the world.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Lili, how do you define peace? And what is the source of your dedication to peace? You've spoken a lot about that, but is there something you haven't told us about where this nugget, where it came from, that you've been germinating, tending for all of these years? So first, your definition of peace, and then any kind of source of your continued dedication and work for peace.
Well, my family escaped a really oppressive communist regime to freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I was the wrong gender, nationality, religion. And
Mm,
so getting home from school without a beating or a racial slur was a big, big accomplishment. I always said, I can do that. And I was always told, you can't, you're a girl. And then I'd get beaten for the best in me.
mhm,
So I decided that when I grow up, I would fight for justice
mhm.
and the freedom to be who you are,
Yes.
to be able to be the architect, the master of your own destiny, and not have anybody tell you what you can and cannot do and who you're going to be, which the world is clearly focusing all their attention on doing. So it's all about power and control. So
Mhm,
freedom became this huge thing for me. So when we got to America, it was like, oh my God, the freedom of not having people chasing you, it was just incredible. And so this thing that burned in this young girl's heart sort of stayed with me. And my family had lost everybody in Auschwitz, and I grew up with no family. And so I always said, how could the world stand by and let this happen? And so after I made that vow on Washington Mall, I watched the women in Afghanistan being stoned to death, and the world was not speaking out. And I couldn't sleep or eat for months, going, this is happening on my watch.
mhm.
And as it happens that Maurice Strong and Hannah Strong, great friends and mentors of mine, and he was no stranger to global events, given that he convened 100 world leaders to launch the Rio Earth Summit, the precursor to today's response to the climate crisis. And they said, go for it, Lili, go for it. And I went, okay, right? And so we've abandoned the women, we abandoned them then, and we've abandoned them now. And we are facing exactly the same scenario now with the world's children and the world's girls. The level of the acute global hunger crisis is at its peak. UNICEF said it's the worst in the 75-year history. And so this is the moment for us as a human family to stand up and support and champion and celebrate the world's girls and children. And so I determined that we would launch at this moment, and the confluence of world events gives us an incredible opportunity right now, because October the 11th, and I've been pitching this for years, is the International Day of the Girl. This was founded by Canada and the UN. So this October 11th to the 13th, we are poised to launch a World Girls Day global charity concert to celebrate the International Girls Day Music Festival. And so this can be the party of the century, and it's the foundation to launch the Heart in Action Global Humanitarian Campaign. So like Live Aid, all charities and countries and cities can do their own events and join the festival to raise urgently needed humanitarian aid to feed the hungry children and their families. So I reached out to the GSMA. Imagine if we could pull this off, that would be amazing, which is the entire telecommunications industry in the world, to do a global mobile fundraising effort to help feed hungry children and their families. They said a global charity event is a brilliant idea. So if you can imagine, everybody in the world who has a phone could give
Yes.
$1, a
Yes.
cent, whatever it is. But we as a human family have to come together to protect the future of our children. And so if we don't, they'll be set back generations. And I decided no matter what it takes, this is not happening on my watch. And
Mhm.
so this coincides with this incredible movement. This is really a people-powered movement to save the future of freedom and democracy. And so we can throw the party of the century. Canada lights up its buildings in pink in cities across the country on this day. And so this is a moment that we can get the world to light up the world, shall we say, whatever color. But the idea is that we need to light up the future in the world for our children. And so my entire mission, and by the way, this Heart in Action campaign will continue to March 8th for an epic International Women's Day Music Festival, so that we can continue to raise urgently needed humanitarian aid. And at the same time, we could galvanize billions in international development aid from world leaders, which I will elaborate on. But that's kind of the trajectory of my life, what my life is all about. And so to be able to unite and ignite and galvanize women and youth and men to come together for the future benefit of humanity, oh my God, this is a moment to step up to the plate.
That's beautiful. There's so many responses, I know, to this next question. And we're kind of burning down our time a little bit, but I still want to ask, in your work for peace, of what are you most proud?
I think the fact that I've gone the distance. I made a vow and I've kept it. I said I'd have a plan in place when this day came. And this is an incredible plan.
Yes.
It is really absolutely powerful beyond measure. And it's the power of women and girls that will save this world. And so I think it's time that we got ourselves in the driver's seat. And you know, this is not really exclusively about gender, because it's really a people-powered movement. And so it's a very exciting moment. I think that it was Mika Brzezinski who said that when women will come together, they will be an unstoppable force.
Yes.
And that time is now. So I would like to say that I undertook this mission at great personal cost. It's cost me a little less than everything, but I have won my self-respect. And I did it to save the future for my children and their children, and not just mine, but everybody's.
Yes.
Because without freedom and democracy, we have nothing.
That's
and
right.
so I would say that I always say that love is the motivator, and love has been the power. And so here we have this incredible, compassionate and powerful woman who can lead the world into ushering a new era for the world's women and girls and for humanity itself. So we are at choice. This is the most consequential moment in history. And so I think we're each being called to walk a heroic path.
Yes.
And decide what we stand for and be careful of what we fall for. And so I would like to share the final idea of what the mission is and how critical this moment is to bring about this new era, is that October 11th is a chance for world leaders, for us, with the opening ceremony of the music festival at the UN to celebrate International Girls' Day. We can announce that world leaders just made a historic pledge to eradicate poverty by educating and empowering women and girls. So this is an incredible moment for a call to action to world leaders to implement a bold and exciting girls' education and women's economic empowerment initiative. I mean, if not now, when? And
right.
this is also the moment, given Prime Minister Trudeau is known as a global champion for women, who's invested billions in international development aid for girls, to actually galvanize billions in international development aid to go into women's and girls' grassroots funds where it has the greatest impact. So this is what I'm calling a moonshot moment for humanity,
Yes.
like going to the moon and back, because the Heart in Action campaign will continue till March 8th for Women's Day Live, for International Women's Day. But March 8th is the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Platform for Action, which was the most comprehensive plan for the advancement of women. And less than 5% of it has been enacted. So what I'm saying is accountability is coming.
Yeah.
So this is an incredible moment to usher in a new era for the world's women and girls. It doesn't end now, it's just the beginning. So delivering a resounding, striking victory is the only option that we have.
Thank you. Thank you. I think on that note, that passionate call to action, which I so appreciate, Lili. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Well, God
Thank
bless
you.
you. I'm still
And
standing. That's really the most defining moment, is that I've had the courage to continue on this mission, no matter what it took. And
yes,
so each of us has got the strength and the power to do what it takes right now. So I'm saying I answer the call, and I'd invite you with every fiber of my heart to step up.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that call for all of us to step up. Thank you.